Hey,
Hello.
welcome everybody to Spin Legal. Hey, Angela, how are you? How are you this
All right.
evening?
All right.
Yeah, we had a little bit of technical difficulty. I had to restart my machine. Don't know what the hell was going on.
Well, technology is marvelous when it works.
Yeah, and it isn't so much when it fails here. Okay. So just to let you know, you're at Spin Legal. This is August 26th, and this is episode 80 with Angela and myself, and we are partners at Invictus Legal LLP. And the topic of tonight's thing is tenants' rights, what to do about pest control and mold. There's a lot of tenants' rights out there, but we're focusing today on tenants, on pest control and mold, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So
pest control, pests are interesting.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's do a quick ad. If you need to contact Invictus Legal, you can do so on 905-688-5598. Email Angela at weareinvictus.legal or myself at peter@weareinvictus.legal. And our website is weareinvictus.legal. So, as I said, pest control and mold are amongst the most common of rental disputes. And Angela, you were going to say something about...
Yeah, because you know how some landlords, they don't want you to bring in your own pets, like cats, dogs, even ferrets or whatever. But now some landlords actually give you their own pets.
Yeah.
That you might not want in your unit.
Six-legged
rats,
ones.
Cockroaches. Silverfish, bed bugs. Whatever, but this is a very common thing, a common complaint we hear in our office. And of course, as we all know, if there's ever a nuclear war, one of the main survivors of a nuclear war would be the cockroach.
The cockroach, yeah. It's interesting. Somebody talked about putting a cockroach in a microwave for 5 minutes and it came out. It just came along and goes,
it was nuked. It still survived.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. So with everything in relation to tenancies, the Residential Tenancy Act is the main statute governing landlord and tenant obligations. And this applies in relation to both sides of whether you're a landlord or a tenant. It applies to both sides. It's quite a comprehensive bit of legislation, and it's got a lot of it's got regulations and it's governed largely by a tribunal, the Landlord and Tenant Tribunal.
Yep.
Okay, so municipal property standards also may play a part. It's an area where I kind of do a lot of work in. Local rules may actually require landlords to maintain a pest-free, mold-free units, and that might actually mean that you have certain rights. If you live in such an area, you can call your city up and say, "Hey, I've got pests, unwanted pets in my rental unit. Can you send a building inspector around?" Well, yeah. They'll send you a bylaw officer and who will look at them in relation to their standards, and they might actually, it's possible they could even give you a building violation, a building code violation.
Yep, and they could put an order on it that the landlord has to fix the problem within a certain period of time.
Yeah.
Okay, or even municipal standards sometimes will come in and do it for them and add it to their tax bill. Sometimes that happens. Yep. Or they can get a big fine and they could be prosecuted in some instances, depending on the bylaw infringement.
Yeah, and that's not a route. Well, if you need such assistance as a tenant, sure, go look it up. Go look up what your rights are. Go investigate. And investigate what your local bylaws are, and give the bylaw officer a call.
Yeah. But one of the most important things is if you go into a unit, you move in, and you start discovering these unwanted pests, or you have them taking over your unit, right? Then this is when you have to the first person you do is you call your landlord.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Call the landlord, because at the end of the day, there's rules. there's rules to deal with this, right?
At the end of the day, the landlord has to know. Because if you
Yeah.
don't tell your landlord and tell the city, tell your neighbor, tell everybody else, and then at the end of the day, if you didn't tell your landlord, that's not going to do very much good for you in terms of seeking abatement for rent later on.
Yeah. And first things first. So we were talking about this before the show, and we were talking about in relation to something else. But hey, we were talking about it in relation to a tap in the kitchen exploding. Well, the first thing you do is turn off the water. The second thing you do is call the plumber, and the third thing you do is call the landlord, in that order. And make sure you've called the landlord within half an hour of it doing, because it may well be that if you've got a big landlord, you might not be able to get the landlord or their agent on the phone in the next half an hour. You may have to be patient a bit, but if you made the calls in that order, at least with the plumbing situation, you probably
Yeah, we had a superintendent. We had a building and they had a superintendent who helped us find where to shut off the water, and then he called somebody in as to help us with the plumbing and taking the water out. And then the next day, somebody came in after the landlord had somebody come in and fix the unit and get rid of all the rugs and everything that was wet, and then replace them.
But again, we were talking about a situation where things happen. I had it once in my house where the water in the sink just burst.
Yeah, they just go
turn it on and poof, right?
Yeah.
Excitement, but hey, you easily just turn off the knob and you're good, right?
Yeah.
Then you get the plumber in. But anyway, so but we're not talking about plumbing related issues here. We're talking about bugs and mold.
Bugs,
right?
mold. These things don't sound like they're really urgent, but for many people they are. Having certain pests in your unit, it can be difficult because it can spread diseases. Okay, it can harm your pets if you have pets.
Yep.
Okay, like pets that you actually want and that you own. Right?
Yeah.
Like for example, everybody says, "Well, if you got rats in your house, get some cats." No, I don't want my cats to go after the rats. I'd rather have mice are fine. They can go after mice and have fun in it. They do have fun, in fact.
I don't know about the last, but my cat Melody, she would have looked at a mouse and gone, oh, you move. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm going to chase you over there. Oh, you're too fast for me. Oh, I'm going to sit down. That would have been Melody.
I have 4 cats, and they form an army. They surround them.
Yeah.
So they don't stand a chance.
But anyway, so hey, regardless of what your and my cat will do, essentially you gotta have a premise. Your premises must be fit for your habitation, and cockroaches, bed bugs, rats, mice. They're all animals that we don't want to get, and
you don't want to have them.
Unfortunately, no matter how good or bad your landlord is at keeping repairs done on the house, occasionally these things get in, right?
Yeah, these things get in. It's more of a matter of how the landlord handles it, as opposed to, like, the landlords don't bring them in.
Yeah.
Okay? Nor do tenants bring them in.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell would want to bring cockroaches and bed bugs into their house?
Yeah.
I don't think even the landlord
They're
wants
pretty
to
disgusting creatures. Nobody really wants to see a cockroach, do they?
Yeah, but sometimes things happen. Somebody travels. Somebody goes on the TTC. Somebody goes on a bus. Somebody goes into somebody else's house. And one of these critters hitch on and take a ride with you.
Yeah.
So this,
I don't know that's necessarily it, but occasionally, and it's like somebody was saying the other day, hey, when they come and spray your unit for rats, mice, bed bugs, and everything else, they migrate to the next unit. They're kind of super intelligent that way. They kind of move on, while your unit is all sprayed, and then when they go to spray the next unit, they come back to your unit.
Yep, they come back because they've made a home.
Yeah.
and they look back for their nests because they have the nests, and they have to do it. When you're the pest control, usually if you get a good pest control, there are some very good pest control companies there. They know what you have, and then they could identify how to get rid of them.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes more than one try, and sometimes you have to have a good preparation strategy. And this is one of the things that a lot of tenants have. Like, I've had tenants in different situations that they would complain to the landlords who are my clients, and they say, I'm having cockroaches or I'm having bed bugs or something like that. Fine. So then what happens is the pest control gets called, and they send them a notice at first about what they must do in their unit to
Yeah.
prepare. And usually it's wrapping all of your clothing in plastic bags, washing them in hot water, putting them aside, putting everything into the center of the room so the pest control can go around your baseboards and put what they need to put down to catch them and kill them. But the thing is, a lot of times tenants don't do that. Okay, so if this happens and you complain to your landlord, and then the landlord contacts the pest control and they say, okay, they're coming over, like within a reasonable time,
Yeah.
and you need to watch, you need to prepare your unit, you need to do this.
Yeah.
If for some reason you have a disability or something, you can advise the landlord and maybe they can assist you or send somebody to help you out with preparing the unit.
Yeah.
But in order to make pest control effective, that has to be done.
Okay.
Because a pest
So
control isn't going to walk in and move everything to the center of the room and put all your clothes in a bag or anything.
yeah, no, they're not going to be able to do that. They've got too much else to do, right?
Yeah.
So under Section 20 of the RTA, landlords must maintain rental units in a good state of repair and it's fit for habitation. And there is case law on this one and which supports that. And part of a good state of repair and fit for habitation is the fact that it is bug-free, or as bug-free as you can get.
Yeah, about as bug free as you. Every place has
Every
even
once in a
in the
while.
cleanest places, you'll have spiders, or occasionally have a spider, or you might even have a centipede,
Yeah.
or silverfish, things like that.
Well, and again, it's up to the landlord to address infestations or mold as promptly as notified. So obviously, if the tenant calls you at about 9 o'clock at night saying, just seen a mouse, came out the window, I threw a book at it and it scarpered. Obviously don't expect the landlord's representative to be there in 20 minutes.
Yeah, they're not going to drive all the way from Mississauga
Yeah.
to come down to Niagara Falls and
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah, but they are, so they are going
But
to
probably
spend.
what will happen is they'll call you the following morning and say, okay, I'm going to be sending somebody over to take a look at it.
Yeah.
So pest control will usually arrive that day, and then they'll take a look at it and assess the situation.
And remember, whilst the 24-hour notice periods do apply, what you do have to be mindful of here is that sometimes it's in your own best interest to ignore the 24-hour minimum 24-hour notice period.
Yeah. Just let the landlord or the pest control or whoever they send in so that they can take a look at the problem and figure out how to solve it. Okay?
Yeah.
Because there's different ways to solve these problems. And sometimes it depends on what you're dealing with. If you're dealing with bed bugs, there's a way to deal with it. If you're dealing with cockroaches or dealing with rats. I've been hearing rat infestations lately, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I think we need a Pied Piper of Hamelin or something. Something has happened to
Well, that actually depends upon each individual area. One of the questions about rats and mice is that, for example, if there's a new development close by in the next 200 meters or something, often rats will scurry from the area where they were in previously, because now there's diggers digging up the land and putting foundations in for new land. So you disturb all the rats and mice, and suddenly they scatter to the wind. Well, they're probably within 400 or 600 meters of where they used to live, but of course that now means that they're in your house, right?
Yep, and they do like to come into your house during the winter time.
Well, that's the other one. The other one, of course, is that they do like to come into the warm in the wintertime, and
Yeah.
they can figure out a way in. And the
So you have
interesting
to
thing is,
figure out, probably
yeah,
in the fall, if you have a problem like that, or if you even have mice and you're in a house, probably in the fall, maybe to have somebody go around and to plug any kind of entrances
yeah,
to make sure that they can't get in, and to put traps around your premises so that that the mice or the rats or whatever will be attracted to those traps and
yeah,
take that back to their nest, and then they'll be done with it.
yeah. So be aware of tenants out there that if a landlord delays repairs, that might justify a rent reduction or abatement.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is
Um,
something like if you call about cockroaches in September 1st, for example, and the landlord says, okay, thanks for letting me know, and they don't do anything about it, don't even respond despite your repeated requests until, say, maybe a week before Christmas, there's a problem there, and you're
yeah,
still having problems because the
yeah.
cockroaches all had babies, and then their babies had babies, and so forth.
Oh yeah, that's a definite problem,
Yeah.
and that's actually in a situation whereby you can, we're not saying this because you will always get money, right? If a landlord comes along, fixes the problem in 2 or 3 days, you probably won't get
No.
the payout's not going to
Yeah.
be big.
Yeah, the law says within a reasonable period
Yeah,
of time.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
And there have been definitions of what's reasonable with it, the landlord tenant board.
Yeah, and typically 2 or 3 days or even a week to fix an infestation of
Got to start with
bugs.
the pest control, yeah,
Yeah,
within that period of
yeah,
time.
and so long as they've taken all the right measures along the way,
Mhm.
right, and there is somebody within a good pest control
Get a pest control
company.
company or get a contract with them or
Yeah,
whatever to take the steps necessary to rid the critters out of there. Eh?
yeah.
Like there's like a pest control company called the Pied Piper of Hamelin Inc. Eh? So they can get all the rats. They reduce rat infestations. I know I acted in a play when I was young, and it was called
Yeah.
about the Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Were you the Pied Piper?
No,
No.
I played another role. I was one of the people who was in one of the stores and who worked in one of the stores where they also had rats, and we did it. And there was people. We also sang parts in it. It was a musical.
Okay, so the question here is, we said delaying repairs can often justify rent reduction or abatement, and the tenant, if that does occur, and hopefully that is only in the worst possible cases, but unfortunately we still see a lot of these, a tenant needs to make an application about maintenance under Section 29(1) if the landlord fails to address health and safety issues like pests and mold.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And they have to provide this, and they have to show that they've communicated with their landlord, what response, if any, came back from the landlord,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Things have to be done. You have to document this very much. Like you'll say, I saw 2 mice today. They're in a washroom. I saw a dead mouse. I bought some traps from Walmart, and I found a dead mouse in one of them. So these things you'd be reporting each day. Each time you
Yeah.
have an encounter.
My son told me he had in a place he owned, he had a couple of mice invading there, and he said the one thing that actually seemed to work a treat was actually peanut butter. Mice
Yeah,
love peanut butter.
yeah, they love it. Just put peanut butter on a trap and go, psh, or
Yep.
roach or mouse motel. They can check in but don't check out.
Yeah. Okay. So, although it sounds disgusting, he basically said he swore by the peanut butter,
Yeah,
right? And
a
he
lot of
had,
things too. And you can also detract rodents from your property too through certain types of spices, peppermint, citrus to some extent, and certain other types of spices around your property, and they don't like it. They're totally repelled by it,
yeah.
and they'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there are some of those, and hey, look them up online, and realistically, that that is something that you can put in your apartment. Some of these are actually herbs and certain herbs that you can put in your house, and
at least in the meantime while you're waiting for treatment.
yeah,
But one thing you don't do is don't try to do a lot of self-help. Hey, I had one guy who put some diamatris earth, I don't know how to say it, DE, hey, but he was trying to put that in his
diametric. No, no, I know. I think I know what you mean, but I can't remember what the
and he tried to put it in his apartment and that sort of thing. And by the time he put it in, it was too much. It was too far gone. And the pest control said that he did a lot of self-help. And doing a lot of self-help, especially when you're complaining about the treatment or lack of treatment, or perhaps the inefficiency of treatment, isn't going to get you anywhere in terms of getting an abatement.
In terms of treatment or failure of the landlord to treat, obviously, as I said before, if they're coming within 2 or 3 days, don't expect them, bang, you're calling them at 10 o'clock and they're there by 10:30. It's not going to happen, right? But if they're going to come within 2 or 3 days, and if they take positive steps within 2 or 3 days, that's reasonable. Right?
Yep, I've had a situation like that before. I've had a rat in my house, and it was in an apartment I had, and the rat was keeping us up all night. We were afraid that we were going to walk out there and the rat was going to come out. We were afraid of it. So I remember my husband at the time, he put a chair and he put it against her door inside the bedroom. This was hilarious. And I said,
the rat couldn't choose through the door
and turn the doorknob and come in. I don't think so. But we called the landlord. So the landlord sent somebody, I think it was almost right away. They went in and they put something in there. Didn't see that rat again. It was done.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, the pest controls know what they're doing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So a thing to note is when you've got things, and it applies to any maintenance issue, by the way, not just pets.
Doesn't matter.
If you cannot legally withhold your rent as a self-help remedy if you've got pests, right? Yep. It may hurt. It may hurt a lot. And don't get me wrong. I'm very sympathetic to how much it will hurt and how horrible those things are. And it creeps me out whenever I see pictures of bed bugs or cockroaches. And we were talking about cockroaches the other day. There's some types of cockroaches that are three or more inches long.
That's a come from
most of the cockroaches are probably less than an inch long.
Yeah, the German cockroaches and the Canadian cockroaches. I don't know how they can tell which ones they are. I guess they carry passports.
They carry a flag. They carry a flag.
There's a Canadian flag and there's a German flag. But these cockroaches, when you have that, tenants trying to say, well, I'm going to withhold my rent and the landlord will be forced to do something. No, all the landlord would do was give you an N4. Yeah, and then he could legally throw you out.
Yeah, exactly. So the recommendation really there is pay your rent and bring an application to the LTB if the landlord is not taking corrective action quickly. So
the only time that I would ever recommend in terms of rent, like say if something was urgent and you had to fix it. Okay, so you brought a plumber in, you brought a pest control in, and you paid for it. And then you take that off your rent and then you provide a receipt to the landlord to show them that you did this. But you include this in your application to the board to say, I had to do this.
Well, that's exactly what I was...
And allow me to do it.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened when I had that exploding tap in the sink. All right, turned it on, bang, turned off the thing, called a plumber. Happened to know somebody who was a plumber, called them, then, called the landlord, and he said, yeah, well, you've got a plumber. And when's the plumber coming? I said, yeah, tomorrow, 9 a.m. He said, good, great.
The plumbers are pretty good. They're pretty good.
He just said to me, get a receipt, and when it comes down to it next month, just don't pay me, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Take it off the next month's rent.
Yeah, the plumbers are pretty fast. Even when I had insurance jobs, the plumbers were right there. One of them showed up at 11:30 at night just to check what the problem was. Then he was bringing his crew in the morning. So and they did come in.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, so there's a few tips that there's a few tips here really for tenants who are in a situation who've got anything like this going on, and it applies to all manners of types of problems. But again, we're dealing here with pests. So first of all, document the problem. Take photos, do videos, write logs. Remember, sometimes photos, videos, and especially sound often does not work. Right? I had
videos and photos. Make sure they're date stamped.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the one thing about that is I had an audio tape. Absolutely everything was date stamped. I could hear it fine on my computer, but the adjudicator's computer clearly didn't have the same type of sound equipment. She couldn't hear a thing.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that when that happens, because you might have some really good evidence. And
yeah.
And then it doesn't come back very effective without the sound.
I could hear it crystal clear on my computer, right? But you know the types of I've got a good sound system on my computer.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Same as here.
Yeah. So document what you can. To a large extent, there's not a lot you can do if the adjudicator can't hear it or if the other party can't hear it. Sometimes they will listen privately, and often a good adjudicator will listen on another computer if they can't hear it.
Yeah. Sometimes what you do is then you just send it to them by email.
Yeah.
And then they can probably try to play it that way. I've had an adjudicator do that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, once the email thing arrived, they were able to hear it.
Yeah. And document the problem. There's photos, videos, written logs. Absolutely do everything like that you can. Before you've even documented the problem, you've notified the landlord in writing, and you've cooperated with the landlord, or when their representative attends, cooperate. If the rep needs to come at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, be there, let him in.
Yeah, exactly. I've had several situations where I was representing a landlord, and the tenants would say, "We have a rat problem," or "We have cockroaches and they're taking over the unit," all this stuff. And the landlord says, "Okay, I'll be there by 10 o'clock tomorrow." So they show up at 10 o'clock tomorrow. The tenants, "Oh, no, you can't come in. I don't want you to come in."
Yeah, you didn't give me the 24 hours notice.
Yeah, they'll complain about the 24-hour notice. And one guy even started getting physical with my landlord.
Yeah.
Literally frog marching my landlord down the street until she got to her car.
Yeah. And,
like you have to cooperate.
Yeah. And there are times like this, you got a problem. Let's get the problem sorted.
Yeah.
Right?
Let the landlord in.
Anything else?
Let them look at it. And then let them evaluate what they're going to do. They have to do something about it, but let them evaluate it.
Yeah.
Don't assume they're going to be a jerk, because not all landlords are jerks.
No, absolutely. Not all landlords are jerks. In fact, probably the vast majority of landlords want to get these things sorted as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And hey, if they don't get it sorted, or if they really prove to be obstinate, I'm going to say to you, the number 3 thing you should do is go seek legal advice.
Yes, go seek legal advice, and don't take this on your own, because there's a number of steps, a number of ways to present this type of case. You have to be very, very careful, because it's not the type of case that's really obvious. This is where you really have to present yourself effectively. Like, did you just see one cockroach over the period of 6 months? Or did you see them take over your unit, literally? And you turn on the light, you see them skitter.
Yeah, because let's face it, if you've seen one cockroach in 6 months, you're not going to get $30,000 worth of, of abatements.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
If the cockroaches get up and move your chair around the room, then you might get $30,000 worth of abatement.
Yeah, they lift your bed up, and you're levitating.
Yeah.
Then you know the cockroaches have taken over.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That's the point. So you don't be thinking about money here. You're not thinking about money. You're thinking about fixing the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Because when you
There are,
start thinking about money, oh, I got to make it look the worst possible. No,
yeah,
we have to do this in a practical way and put it forward.
yeah,
It doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get abatement in the end, because sometimes it depends on the landlord's behavior
yeah,
and their conduct
yeah,
at this point. And that's how the landlord tenant board evaluates it. So if you have a pest problem that's happening and the landlord does not respond to you, or responds but in a completely inappropriate manner and does not appropriately deal with the problem, or they send the pest control in once and the pest control does not follow through on a pest control program, which pest control companies know exactly what type of program they need to follow
yeah,
because they're trained in it and they're licensed by the province. So they know what they have to do.
yeah. All right. So there's a few pieces of information yourself. It does occur to me that there's a few other things, there's a few other steps you can do. For example, it might well be sometimes it's worth knowing what the property standards rules are for your local area.
Mhm.
Right?
That's another step, particularly if the landlord does not respond. Again, your place is overtaken with rats. They're in your fridge, they're in your cupboards, they're in your
Yeah.
bathtub, even in your toilet. Okay. So you really want to have something done about it. Yes, talk to property standards. Property standards can then start putting things, they'll come over, they'll send someone, and they'll probably have a pest control company come and look at it too. And they could put an order on the landlord. And the landlord could choose to hire that pest control company or hire another one that could be on the city's list that is effective for that type of problem. And they have to deal with the problem within a certain period of time.
Yeah. And one of the could also consider some form of compensation claim within your tenant insurance.
Yeah.
Right?
Tenant insurance, particularly if something happened where the pests have got into a lot of your things,
Yeah.
got into your electronics, got into your furniture, got into different things where you've had to dispose of a lot of items. Okay? And then if you can show that there has been a substantial pest problem that led you to have to do this, your tenant insurance may be a place where you could
Well,
you can turn to.
yeah, and actually things like we were talking about mold. Mold could ruin furniture.
Oh yes, mold could ruin furniture. I
And
think we had a case one time, very new premises, brand new, built, and the family that moved in there, they had this white icky mold. Like I
yeah,
don't know how that happened, but people were getting sick in there,
yeah.
and they couldn't live in there. So it was, and
Well,
it ruined all their furniture, their clothing, everything. It was all over the place.
well, there was one actually whereby we dealt with one last year. It was the cockroaches basically were getting inside the electronics,
Yep,
shorting out computers and things like this
yep, that was another
everywhere
one
over
we had with.
everywhere over that.
Yep, where we had that. And unfortunately, the person did not have tenant insurance.
Yeah,
So he went after the landlord and just made a regular maintenance claim. And like this was a very, very horrible, very sad situation because his wife was disabled. And he was also working like long hours at a job that he had.
yeah.
This is very much a lot of things that happen.
Well, and some of the things that we've dealt with in the last few years have included continual gnawing at things like furniture, continual, so even when they bought a new bed, or a new settee, it was destroyed in months by by the
By the
insects,
bugs,
bugs, yeah,
whatever
by the
pets,
unwanted pets.
yeah, unwanted pets. Yeah, it's not just a dog that you let climb on your couch and sit beside you. It's those cockroaches that you don't want.
Yeah.
Or the yeah, bed bugs are really serious because at one time we didn't have bed bugs because people had DDT. Hey, the DDT became illegal. You couldn't use it anywhere. And then up came the bed bug issue, and then they just got worse and worse. People
Mhm.
travel. That's why we get them, and that's why they spread.
Yeah.
People do global travel. They go to different hotels. They go to different places, and they go to people's houses. And this how
The interesting thing is that a hotel, generally hotels are good for cleanliness, have got a good reputation for cleanliness, right? Most hotels
most
do,
hotels.
but every once in a while, even hotels get closed for bed bugs.
Yep, 5-star hotels.
Yeah.
And these places, it's not because of your cleanliness. You could be an absolute spick and span
Yeah.
tenant. You
Oh
can
yeah.
keep your house clean, well organized. You could still get hit by bugs.
Yeah.
Okay, is as long as they have a source of food. Okay, and
And
sometimes that's very difficult to avoid in certain circumstances.
yeah. And even if that source of food, you keep your food, let's say in jars and things like that, that source of food, it might not be a source of food that you think,
Yeah,
you think it
the
is,
other
right?
things. Sometimes they're like a critter, like your spider swallows a fly, and then you have your centipede swallow the spider, and then all that stuff. You have
Yeah.
a whole predator
That's
network in
called,
your house.
yeah, that's called the cycle of evolution, isn't it?
Yeah, and that should occur outdoors, please.
All right. Okay. So, so we've been talking there quite a bit about um, bugs and mold and that sort of thing. And, yes, bugs and mold are actually the worst of these kind of things, but they do apply to any types of, this whole issue applies to any types of maintenance that you may well have,
Yep. And mold,
especially prolonged.
yeah, and mold, one of the things too is to help, is just to ensure that, even I'm speaking to landlords too, is to make sure, especially in the bathroom, you want to make sure there's good ventilation
Yep.
in the bathroom. So if a tenant has a shower, that mildew and mold does not gather up.
Well, the
Right?
interesting the interesting thing I found out from a plumber is that if you've got a shower, most bathrooms have got extractor fans in them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a shower, even just like what you forget to turn on one day in the week, and you forget to turn the extractor fan on when you're having a shower, that could be enough to start triggering black mold on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there's different types of mold. Okay. Some mold is harmless. Some of it's just mildew. It may look like mold,
Yeah.
but it's just mildew, okay, which is a very different type of um, category, would you say, as a fungi, right? Or
Hmm.
whatever, right? But when you start getting a mold, then what people consider black mold, that's the most serious type. People who are mold specialists, like say if you have a lot of mold in your house, having a mold specialist to come in and do an evaluation to check what kind of mold it is and what needs to be done. Sometimes that's worth the money to bring somebody in and to do a report and send that off to the landlord. And then the landlord would be responsible for, he should pay for the report, and they
Yeah.
should also fix the problem.
Well, yeah, and and the fixing the problem. Obviously, the reason you get the report is to fix the problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Because the thing is, the
Um,
landlord's not always there, so they
yeah,
may not necessarily know the extent of the problem. That's
yeah,
why getting
and
a mold expert in there to
yeah,
see,
or
what's going
or
on.
conversely, something like a bed bug expert. Let's say you've had your apartment now sprayed 3 times for bed bugs and nothing's happened. It's not improved the situation.
Yeah.
So now you get a bed bug expert in there who can do a more detailed look,
Yep. And
who
this
can
thing,
make
like there's a
different recommendations.
thing, Truly Nolan Pest Control. They have a
They're
lot of,
one of the ones down here in Niagara Falls, in the Niagara region, that is pretty good. Yeah,
yeah, there's
without
some very good
advertising.
pest control agents, and they use unique systems. Like heat has some positive effects for bed bugs.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it's kind of been an interesting tour around the unwanted critters of the landlord and tenant field.
People
Got
who are
anything else?
listening to this are probably scratching themselves, and they're
Yeah. I
probably
mean, I've been itching all
yeah,
evening. You know.
looking around to see if there's any bugs sitting at their end of their bed or whatever.
Yeah. Hey, that fly, get away.
Yeah, yeah, that's the kind of thing. It's called the creepy crawlies.
Yeah, and hey, that's the trouble with this type of program, isn't it?
Hmm.
So, any further thoughts in relation to bugs and critters that we need to talk about?
Yeah, sometimes we don't even know what kind of bug it is. It's always worth it to get someone to take a look, to find out.
Yeah,
But most of the kinds of bugs that venture indoors tend to be the kinds that we talked about.
yeah,
Okay? And sometimes it might be helpful to just see, specifically if you've got a different kind, different kind of species, genus and species, like,
okay,
some family of bugs out there and you want to find out. And the thing is, sometimes they will find out. A good pest control agent will find out the source of it, and they'll also find out how they get into your house,
yeah,
and they'll tell you what you need to do. And
and
some, and they will even spray for you or put some stuff down so that they'll help
and
them
when
with
you
this
think about
planet.
it, a mouse can be between kind of 1.5 to 3.5 inches in length, and when they're eating a nice fill, they can be pretty damn fat, right? They can
Yep.
be pretty fat, um, but you won't believe the kinds of holes that they can get through.
Oh yes, yes, they can get through a hole the size of a quarter.
Yeah, yeah,
And they can just squeeze in. Like if you've got, especially if you've got a basement where there might be holes in it, like maybe some cracked concrete or something. You have to be really careful. Try to seal it up the best you can. And there is sealant that you can get in the market and you can put it on. And it keeps them from using those spaces to crawl
yeah,
through.
yeah. And hey, in some respects, yes, I know we're talking about tenant related issues, but this sealant that you can get, at Home Depot or Home Hardware, get it, do it yourself. Just
Yep.
you know,
My
it,
next door neighbor did his because he wanted to get his house sealed because as soon as he heard that I had a rat in my house, he went out and sealed up everything. And he's a
yeah,
tenant.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Didn't
So
cost him anything.
yeah, and the thing is that most good landlords are going to give you a recompense on that, and
Yeah.
they'll probably
Yep.
applaud you for doing it.
He's got a good landlord. He's
Yeah,
pretty decent.
yeah. All right. So since there's nothing else to consider here, so if you need to contact us, you can do so on 905-688-5598 or email Angela at angela@weareinvictus.legal or me at peter@weareinvictus.legal. And the website is weareinvictus.legal if you didn't know that already. And Angela, to wind out the show.
Yeah. So what you've heard today, it's been legal, or whether it's this show or any others in our series, this is not legal advice that you're listening to. We give you ideas. We give you ideas about some of the laws around there, what to expect. But if you need legal advice or you're encountering a problem, such as the problem we talked about today, or maybe any other problem that might be attached to the law or a legal situation, please contact a paralegal or a lawyer. We'd love you to contact Invictus Legal, but please do contact anybody who has legal advice or a lawyer that can give you good advice to deal with your specific situation.
Yep. And I've got nothing further to say. Have you got any further thoughts?
No,
I know that's been a creepy crawly kind of situation, and we kind of have been itching all day. At least I have.
you're scratching yourself.
I'm playing for the camera, you know that. Um, um, but is he talking about this? Always gives me the creeps. And I was watching an LTV hearing where they had on the screen, the whole screen was taken up by a bed bug, and it was kind of this big. And I'm thinking, why are you keeping this up here? Yeah, show me the bed bug. Get rid of the picture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
that's what people do. They come into the office, they put them in jars and stuff. They want to show us the bed bugs or the cockroaches or whatever. And I said, I don't think I want them in here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, all right. So, take pictures of them, kill them, don't give them to us.
Yeah.
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 All right. And, well, look after yourself till next time, and, have a great week, I guess.
Yeah. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Yep.